Hey friends, and welcome to a new video. So a lot of you asked me how I draw portraits and if I could do a tutorial. So today is finally the day that I'm doing one, and also I'm doing this in this new sketchbook which is from Crescent, which is actually the best aqua marker paper that you can get in my opinion. I will show you some swatches in the end of the video, but before we come to that, let's go into the sketching process and my tips and tricks on how to draw faces and portraits. So first things first, one of the most important things in my opinion is a good reference. I use Unsplash for reference pictures because they are free to use to make art out of them. This is an app and it's free on the iOS store. I'm not sure how it's for Google Play, but it's definitely free on the iPhone. You can search for different themes, so I used to search for fantasy, and when you find an image where you like the vibe, you can easily just scroll down and see more pictures with a similar vibe, which I think is so great because you could scroll endlessly until you find the perfect reference for your picture. So when I find mine, I will download it to my gallery, and then I will simply crop it into the measurements that I want. You can see it in a minute. And here's an example on why you need a good reference. So this portrait was sketched out without any reference, and this one was with a reference. The thing is, when you have reference, you can easily see the things that may be hard for you. Like for me, it's the hairline mostly. I always struggle with it. And when I do an exercise where I sketch without a reference, I used to think about what I want to get better and just paint it in with a red or blue pen. Also, I want to talk about the size of a portrait. So, if you're a beginner, I would recommend to always draw bigger. As you can see, the smaller the faces are, the harder it is to get any details. And I totally get it that it's more intimidating to draw something big, but as you can see here, I like to draw on 2 pages, but just like one painting, because it's so much easier to get all the details that you need for a face that looks good to fit on a bigger canvas. So when you're just trying out, try to draw in a big paper. That's also one of the reasons why I got this sketchbook right here. Someone asked me on TikTok if I could do prints, and I'm thinking about it, and this is gonna be my sketchbook for like prints or sticker ideas. So definitely let me know in the comments if you would be interested in it. Now for some tools. One thing you saw before was a Blackwing natural pencil. This is a really hard pencil. So if you want to sketch out your first layer, which you will see me doing in just a few seconds, then you want a hard pencil and really light pressure. So it's really easy to erase any mistakes. I also like the Blackwing Pearl, it's a bit softer, and for shadows I use the Blackwing Matte. Disclaimer, it's not important how expensive your supplies are. You could do the best sketch with just a mechanical pencil like this one. You just have to look out how much pressure you use when you put it on the paper. I hope this makes sense. For me, I really like to have different textures, and you could also just basically go with really cheap pencils, which are an H, HB, and maybe a B2. These are like some grades that I like to use, like from hardness to softness, but really make sure that your first sketch is made with a really hard pencil. Now we already come to some of the basics in portrait sketching. So I want to show you how I draw specific features of the face, like the eye, the mouth, and the nose. I would always suggest to just do them over and over again until you feel comfortable. So with the eye, I draw one circle first because your eye is a ball. Your circle, no, of course, your eye is a ball, and that is where I'm going from. So when you look at the lid, it's just like perfectly formed like your eyeball, and your under eyes are also formed in your eyeball. And from there on, you want to shape this almond shape, and I like to go a little bit over the circle with the two ends, so you have a little bit more of a dimension, and the area where the circle ends is where shadow is. So this is where you can really see the dimension of the ball, so it's not just a circle but a ball. Also, I always go in with my hand, like I use the motion and the like the I don't know how to explain, but the free movement of my hand to do the details like the lashes. As you can see here, you can also beautifully do them with a harder brush nib. I messed up one and you will see me try to fix it, but that's totally okay. So coming back to the brush tip, I like to use this because you can make the lash a little bit thicker at the bottom and thinner at the top. Now to the mouth. This is almost as easy. You just draw two circles and one oval. The two circles are your upper lip and the oval is your underlip. Now you can choose if you want like a heart-shaped lip or just like a really square lip where you don't really have this heart shape. I prefer the heart shape. This is like really easily sketched down. And what I always like to do is make the upper lip a little bit darker than the underlip and don't have too many lines. So you want them separated by just like the shadows of your lips. You can do some lines, but then when you do, don't try to make like one big line, but rather smaller lines in between where you want more definition. And never forget the shadows, they're so important. I really don't like this lip, but it just breaks down the features and the forms. And again, the same goes with the nose. So I draw three circles, one big one for like the tip of the nose, and you can make this oval or a circle or whatever you like, what form you want to have your nose. And then from this middle circle, you want to do nose holes and then some big C's on the side. Again, you don't want to work with too sharp lines, rather work with shadows because this makes all the difference. And now just for some little extra, I can show you how I fixed this mistaken lash. So first I used a jelly roll, but my ink wasn't completely dry, so it smudged a little bit. And for the smudging, I used this acrylic marker in white. You could use any acrylic marker or gel pen if you're not as impatient as me, and just fix it, as you can see here. So what I always do when I draw a complete portrait is that I will measure from the face. So where the middle of the eye is, there the mouth should end. Since my eyes and my paintings are almost always a little bit bigger because I want a lot of definition on them, I do the mouth a little bit smaller, like not exactly at the middle. And now in a second you can see me how you can easily change the emotion of an eye, for example. So if you just make the eye a little bit more narrow with this shadow that you can see me painting in right here, and you do the eyebrow like a little bit more down on the front and more up on the back, you have a new expressions just in like seconds. This maybe took me half a minute or a minute, and I just want to show you how much you can play with this exercise. So I would really suggest to draw as many eyes and noses and mouths until you feel comfortable with it. Now to the portrait sketching. I always watch out that my pencil is really sharp. I feel like I have more control over it, and I use a kneaded eraser a lot just to get all the sketching that I do first a little bit more soft. And this right here is my favorite eraser in the world. It says dust free. I'm being honest, it's not dust free, but it erases so freaking well. I love this eraser. And here you can see that I couldn't open it. So yeah, let's have a music break, and I see you back when we're on the painting part. Also, I hope you don't mind that this voiceover is kind of all over the place. You can see where I'm going to because it's already like 2:30 a.m. in the morning. It's in the middle of the night, but I know I don't have any time tomorrow to finish this video. So we're gonna do it today. We're gonna push through it, and I hope you're gonna push through it with me together. Here's a little trick on how you can easily clean your needed eraser. You just have to stretch it a lot and fold it back together again. It took me so long to learn this, but that way you can so easily clean it. It looks just like new. Just do it as long as you need to until it looks clean again. And in a few seconds you can see that I try to adjust the brightness and contrast of the video so you can more easily see the lines, because as I said, I'm painting really soft when I do the first sketching, so don't mind that my hands and, for example, my hoodie looks a little bit strange. I just want you to see the lines really good, and we're already at the sketching part, so let's go. So the first thing I always want to do is search my line of action. So where's the face looking to, where's the neck, where are the shoulders, and I just want to get the movement of the picture onto the page. And then in really easy forms, I start sketching out where what goes. So I start, as you saw, with a circle. Almost always where the circle ends is where the mouth is for me. And then I just shape out the chin. What I used to do wrong a lot with the chin is I made it really pointy, like a triangle, but it actually isn't. Then I sketch out my ear. When you saw that of my shorts, you know I love pointed fairy ears, so that's why I always sketch them out pretty early. And then you can see my method again for the eye with the circles for the nose, and as well as the mouth. And at this point, you can really play a lot with your reference pictures. So you could make the nose more pointy or more round. You could make it more flat or bigger. You can really play at this stage because this is the foundation where everything builds on. And then I go over it in a rolling motion with my kneaded erasers, so the sketch is really soft. And as you can see here, then I try to soften the lines with really soft movements. And you really want to work with your hand, with the movement your hand makes. So when you would just move it up and down naturally, that's the movement you want to go. You also want a lot of soft edges, like no face or like no body part at all is really sharp. You want it all to be soft and rounded. Of course, if it's a stylistic choice, you could make it more edgy, but I like the softness because all my paintings are inspired by fantasy. So then you just want to sketch in all the parts, like the shoulders. Before you saw me do the line of action for the shoulders, and I typically just do like a circle on both ends, and that dedicates the shoulders for me. And here just saw me doing the eyelid with this circle, which we talked about before. So here you maybe can see it all coming together. Then you want to sketch in your eyebrows and all the little details that are really important for a face, so like what you need for a face. I have to admit that the reference I chose is not the best because the eyes are closed, but one detail that makes a lot of difference when doing portraits is I used to always forget the waterline. So try not to be like me and do the waterline. It makes a huge difference. And also the lashes on the bottom of your eye are coming from the part at the bottom of the waterline. I hope this makes sense, but maybe I can do like a short and show it again. Yeah, then I go in with the hair. With the hair again, I go with a lot of intuition and I really work again with my hand. I don't try to plan them that much because hair doesn't fall as planned. It never does. Like, we can try and try, but some strands will do what they want. You also maybe saw that I painted them over the ears because they were coming so naturally. You really want to use your hands, and that's also why warming up is a great exercise to draw better. Maybe I can do another video on how to warm up for painting if you'd like that. But yeah, you really want to go soft with this. Then I start sketching out the shadows and the highlights. I always do it like this, that I do like an form of the highlight, and the shadow I do in like a hatching style. And when it's a deeper shadow, then I hatch in both directions so that you can see it's deeper. And one thing that I learned is that with everything natural, you don't want too many lines, so you really want to work with the shadows and give the face a definition with the shadows. For example, the cheekbones, you shouldn't draw like a line where the cheekbone is, but instead you should draw a shadow which indicates that a cheekbone is coming forward. Same with the collarbone. Then this bone don't really has a line that definitions it. You really want to work with light and darkness. And at this point, you can add all the details to your preference. For example, for me, it's big earrings, almost always with stars or moons on it, because that's like the aesthetic that I like, this mystical feeling. You could change your nose, make it more pointy or more round. I always add an eyeliner. I don't know why, but I think it gives the eye like a really sharp edge to it, which I like. You can also see me in a minute. Yeah, now sketching in the crown, and you can go so free, and that's the part that has the most fun for me, is adding all the details that make it a fantasy inspired painting. And you don't really have to do this in fantasy style. You could do whatever style you like. For example, maybe you know my tiger painting. I love this really, really much, the portrait of the girl looking like a tiger. And those are the details that you want to put in at this point. Again, I'm going in with a lot of shadowing, so we have more definition. Also, like the inner corner of the eye is really important because it not only definitions the eye but also the nose, and a lot of shadows in the ear, of course, so it seems more three-dimensional. And that's already it. And now it seems maybe really easy, but trust me, it isn't. And if it isn't perfect at the beginning, that's totally okay. Just keep going, having fun, and don't give up on yourself. I could check out if I have some old pictures of my paintings, and maybe we could do like a throwback video so you can see that it's really just practice. And here for the end is a little show off of this incredible paper. I searched for my darkest brown aqua marker, and as you can see, there's no bleed through, not even a little bit of ghosting. So we do a second layer and a third layer, and you can see there's no ghosting at all. I will also show you how easy it is to blend on it. This paper is really incredible, and I see a lot of comments on TikTok under some videos where people search for good aqua marker paper, and this one is it. It's the best. It's so good, and I just wanted to show it to you. And with that, I hope that this video was somewhat helpful, even though it's so late in the night already. I hope I explained the things well. I'm not the best person in explaining stuff, but if you have any more questions or any video suggestions, just leave them down in the comment section. Also, I wanted to know if you would be interested in like prints and stickers and doing like an art business, even though I don't really have the audience for it. But maybe we can do this a little fun series where we build an art business together, and I can take you with me with my experience as someone with no reach at all. I think this would be really fun. And with that, I hope you have a wonderful day or night or whenever you're watching this. Bye.